Good evening, everyone. I am Ramakant Tiwari from Mahan Coal, which is a joint venture of Hindalco and Star Power. And prior to, coming to this place, Singrauli in Madhya Pradesh, where we have our greenfield coal mining project, which is yet to start. In fact, fortunately, we got the stage 2 forest clearance only yesterday. I was with Coal India for 22 years, served in many places, including Odisha, where I was there at Talcher and Sambalpur also. So, basically, coming to the sustainability of corporates in particular and sustainability of whatever we do in general, there are certain issues that come to mind. First of all, what I can perceive is that sustainability has to, be seen from the perspective of effectiveness also. Here, I'd like to quote, Professor uh, Dr. Stephen Covey, whose Seven Habits of Highly Effective People probably is among the best business books ever written by many. When he defines effectiveness, he says it's basically PPC balance. He says production and production capacity balance. So whatever we do, whether in the process of operating things, whether in the process of producing things, do we keep the machinery intact? Do we keep the setup that we create? Do we keep that intact, or do we in fact make that better in the process? So that is a kind of similarity that we can draw between this sustainability in development and the effectiveness in human dealings or in whatever we do. So here primarily we have to keep in mind all the time that there has to be a holistic approach where, as was pointed out, it's the society at large is not just a stakeholder. It's basically the basic reason why we are there. From a corporate perspective, it was time and again it was pointed out that the mere reiteration of the triple bottom line concept will not do. We have to, live with it all the time. It has to be programmed into the basic DNA of our organizational culture. So, so basically, we have been talking of CSR and sustainability from I should say from a quick fix sort of perspective most of the time, and we feel that there has to be a good convergence of the citizen sector. Citizen sector means NGO sector primarily, the corporate sector, the citizen sector for its passion and the commitment to the cause of the masses, the corporates for the efficiencies and the the scalability that we have, and maybe the financial muscles that we have. And certainly the third player should be the regulator, to ensure a truly level playing field. If we synergize, we can certainly ensure that sustainability becomes a norm. And in this context, one idea that comes to my mind is that we have to, instead of just focusing on philanthropy and charitable works, what we need to focus upon at this point, at this juncture, where it appears that the collective will is trying to manifest by way of this kind of fora that we are creating and we are talking, and it appears that we really mean it. So here, what I'd like to submit to this august audience, that we should think about, creating a kind of, uh, true sense of empowerment among the masses by inculcating a sense of self-respect, where the beneficiaries that we think of, particularly the downtrodden and the poor, rural poor particularly, they should be, they should be nurtured in such a fashion that they just do not remain, dependent on our charity. They, they are empowered in true fashion. And for that, certain ideas that come to mind, and in being practiced also, particularly in the neighboring countries, I refer to the model of social businesses that are being experimented upon by Professor Muhammad Yunus and his, Grameen Foundation. So here I'll like to refer to a couple of books, in fact, three of them, particularly targeted at the students here. One being How to Change the World. The title of the book being How to Change the World by Professor Dr. David Bornstein, where he talks about the Ashoka Foundation, and he has written quite a good deal about the Ashoka Foundation and Bill Drayton. So it's a seminal book on, I should say, social entrepreneurship. And you know, slightly different from social entrepreneurship, the idea that is very close to my heart and which I believe we corporates should definitely practice uh, to truly empower the masses. That is the concept of social businesses. Social businesses being slightly different, where we create corporations, where the stakeholders, the real beneficiaries, they work there, they own the corporation also, and thereby they not only get their salaries and wages, but they also become a part of the stockholders. They become the owners. But well, it is easier said than done, but it can be done. A proper hand-holding and good support of professionals, it is possible. And although it may sound a bit theoretical and utopian, but I do believe firmly that it is possible. And the third and recent book that I like to refer to, particularly targeted at the students, is a book by our ex-president, His Highness APJ Abdul Kalam Sahab. The title of the book is Target 3 Billion. It has been co-authored by one IIM graduate, Srijan Pal Singh. It is a wonderful, book of case studies, and the Pura concept has all been so beautifully defined. I like to recommend that we should basically live these, paradigms that are sort of getting manifested. We at Mahan Coal, we are at Greenfield. We are committed to the cause of sustainable development. We have been attempting various things, but so far it is still at a pre-project stage. So far as sustainability in terms of triple bottom line is concerned, we take pride in the fact that we are probably among the first such entity which has been investing very hugely in terms of ecological sustainability. I'll not go into the details. I have a small presentation which I think will not be relevant at this point of time. So my idea basically, I'll say, is that we must practice what we preach. Being, corporate managers, we have to show to the world that yes, it can be done. That's what all I like to say. Thank you.
And now, now I request audience, if you have any question regarding these practices, you can just ask Mr. Tiwari on this issue. Yes, please.
Burning coal, power generation by burning coal is perhaps in line with enjoying yourself by smoking cigarettes, ITC also being here, as a fairly effective way of killing people. It's just posing the question, can an institution, whether it be a cigarette manufacturing company or a coal mining company, whose basic activity is to produce something which is almost by definition either damaging or at least not sustainable, can it be responsible just by doing nice things in the process of producing a bad thing? If you understand my question. Can you run, or I put it to a cigarette company to let you off the hook. Can somebody run a cigarette factory in a socially responsible way, or they better stop making cigarettes?
Thank you, sir. It's a very fundamental question. I fully agree that burning coal is very much like smoking cigarette. And till the time we have a viable alternative to mass production of energy, probably we are left with no choice but to burn coal. But certainly a lot of research, fundamental, applied both are needed to to kind of scale up methods whereby we can produce more of green energy. But beyond the basic tenet of burning coal to produce power, we can do many other things whereby we can mitigate many of the things associated with coal mining. Of course, coal is also fossilized wood only. It's fossilized plants only. So that has to be used in a proper manner. And the damage that we do to the ecology by way of open cast mining particularly, that can be mitigated in a very good measure. That's all. Yeah.
Yeah, any more questions? So I myself have just one question. In this coal mining, especially when you mine a coal, when coal is mining from a particular area, after the mining, normally the trench is remain open, especially in the open mine, coal mine area. And that creates a lot of problem because the water gets filled up and then a lot of health problem also occur. So in that case, what actually are the initiatives taken by your company in this respect?
That's a very, very good question, ma'am. Thank you. Basically, globally, if we see at the good mining practices or excellent mining practices, particularly in developed countries, where the developed form of mining is practiced, like in Australia, even in South Africa, at many places you won't find, it will be very difficult for you to make out where mining has been done, open pit mining, open cast mining. They do the, what we call reclamation so well. Reclamation is technical reclamation as well as biological reclamation. Even in India, in some of the open cast coal mines of Coal India also, like Umred in WCL and Jayant in our MP NCL, you'll find they have done it beautifully, wonderfully. So reclamation can be done where value addition can be done. We can attract wildlife. I have seen with my own eyes wildlife being attracted if we create good water bodies and grass is grown particularly well. So the responsibility of a miner to keep the the land mass or the land use intact or to make it even better is there, and it can be done. Of course, I do agree that particularly in this country, in our country, and more so in the public sector domain, this has yet to take root properly. But it can be done. It can be done. Proper reclamation, technical as well as biological, we can make the place even better. In underground mining, there are methods of what we call stowing, where even if you have very good structures on surface, they are not damaged. They are protected from any damage. In open pit mining, if we preserve the topsoil and if we do the plantation later on, if we do proper profiling, the place can be made even better.
Yeah, except but barring a few big companies, none of them are actually practicing this kind of thing.
That's true.
What we have.
Yeah, ma'am. I fully agree with you that it's not being practiced in general, but it can be done. But with growing awareness of environmental concerns, I think the companies will be forced to practice that.
Okay, one my question is there regarding sustainability development and the CSR. As per the SEBI Act, this Section 49 of SEBI Act, which elaborate the corporate governance in the corporate world, which has been misutilized by the Sattam, because before the graph of the Sattam has touched the bottom, Sattam has got the 8 CSR prizes, even he got the CSR prize from the UK. So my question is, how far the Indian companies are firing the gun by keeping on the shoulders of the CSR, and how it will be continued in spite of the very tough law produced by the SEBI under Section 49. That is my question.
Well, sir, here I'd like to say only one thing. There was one talk by Mr. Agrawal Professor Agrawal, when he said that we are very good in jugaad, preparing voluminous reports of compliance and all. But basically, it has to be, from within. Means the ethical fiber has to be strong. What we say, we must practice. Then only it can be done. So basically, what I can understand is that no amount of law or legislation can really replace our intent and ethicality. So ethical fiber has to be strong. I think you are hinting at that only. The amount of prizes that we win or the amount of showcasing that we do, that has nothing to do.
Actually, what's happened? The CSR system, it is implemented by the
Well,
governments.
sorry for interruption, but then we have very little time left. so
By the
please.
government, by the government undertakings, they are very good. They are doing very good by adapting the villages, but not not the private sectors. That is my question. Durgapur Steel Plant, they have adapted some hundreds of the villages in the year, but the other private sector, they are not doing that. That is my.
I'll tend to disagree with you based on my experience. I've served for 22 years in a public sector setup, and what I'm seeing in many of the private sector setups also, basically it's not the question of private sector or public sector. It's the question of organizational ethics and culture that we develop. That is more important, what I understand.
That is Section 49.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very much, sir.
Tiwari. Thank you for your opinion. Now I request Mr. B. Shiv Kumar